Hey, what's up? This is Casey with another episode of the show I don't have a name for. Today's t-shirt of the day is Australia, Down Under. I went to Australia after I retired from Korea, and I thought it was a great country, great continent, gorgeous, wonderful people, wonderful everything. I saw some koalas, I got a pet one, and it was great. Um, so I've been running around trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. I'm moving to Chicago. Um, my one of my best friends in the world, Matt, said living in Korea has made me really good at saying goodbye. Um, and it sucks. I hate it. I always hate saying goodbye to friends. And because sometimes, even though we've got email and text messages and Skype and blah, 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 you lose contact with that person. And especially, I have best friends that I probably will never see again, which is awful. And I hate doing that. Um, but I'm moving to Chicago. Today we're going to talk about some moving stories. I've lived in a lot of different places. Um, I was actually born in Oregon. I moved from Oregon to uh, North Dakota when I was about 5. I don't remember it, so who cares? I moved from North Dakota to South Dakota when I was 18, and I went to South Dakota State University. Go Jacks. Um, that was an exciting time for me because it was the first time I lived away from home. It was starting something completely new, and it was really cool for me. Um, in year 2000, I finished 2 years of South Dakota State, and I transferred to NYU, New York University, in case you're wondering. So, but it wasn't that easy. So I moved from South Dakota back to North Dakota for like a month, and then my family moved to Colorado. It wasn't such a big deal. It wasn't so hard for me. It was harder for my brothers because they were still in high school. I was still, in my college days. The going away party in from North Dakota to South Dakota was weird because I had all my high school buddies and everything. We had a nice party, and I was 20 years old, so we were drinking Southern Comfort, which I really liked. And the guy who was my best friend from like fourth grade on, I'm not going to name him because he's not worth it. Um, Turned into a huge douchebag as we were growing up. And I guess he's even worse. um, but this kind of settled the whole thing for me. I had Southern Comfort. We had a party, and he came, and he's like, "This sucks. Fucking Southern Comfort sucks. This is boring. We're all the girls." I'm Casey Freeman. They're not girls following me around everywhere. So, and then I wanted to have like a nice chat with him. This guy's been my best friend for 10 years or something. So we were talking, and he's like, I want to talk about comic books or how we were going to do this. And, this is it. And, I was moving to New York, which, when we were kids, we planned on doing. And instead of doing that, he was like, yeah, borrow me $10 so I can so I can buy some smokes and, some Burger King. I was like, you know, I thought we were going to say goodbye. And he's like, yeah, just give me some, just borrow me some money. He'll come back to you, man. And I was like, you know what? Here, leave. See if I fucking care. And I heard from him a couple times. One time he sent me a message in New York, and he was like, "Yo, man, I saved up $200. Is it cool if I, move in with you? And I really think I can hang out in New York and make it like $200." No, I already live in a room with two other dudes. I can't have another dude live with me, especially somebody as big as a fucking asshole as him. Anyway, that's it. When I moved back and forth from Colorado to New York a few times. It was always kind of weird. The last time I left was after I got laid off, and I was just fuck you and moved. Um, when I moved from Colorado to Korea, it was a really emotional part of my life. Moving to a different continent, a different country, and I didn't know, how long it was going to be until I saw my family again. So I had this really emotional time with my brothers, and I said, Colorado, you can see that, there's stars everywhere. So I said, oh man, you know, even though we're far apart and in a different time zone and shit, we'll still go up and see the same stars, and we'll be brothers and stuff. And I got to Seoul, and there are absolutely no fucking stars that you can see. So every time I looked up and there was like one or two stars, I remember, yeah, I have brothers across the world, so that's really neat. When I moved from Korea back to Colorado, it was again really emotional. I had like 5 going away parties, my Dungeons and Dragons game, gang, my Dungeons and Dragons gang, my buddies, some drinking buddies, my jujitsu buddies, and, all that because I'm super popular. Uh, and my last night, I just had another really emotional thing where we shared some drinks, and I was like, geez, I don't know if I'm going to see any of these people again. This was my home. I lived in Seoul longer than I lived in New York, longer than I've ever lived in Colorado, um, or South Dakota. So it was really difficult. And when I was on the airplane, it was like, man, this is. I wonder what's going to happen. Like, am I just going to panic or, just start crying or what? And I just fell asleep. It was all that was all that happened. And then I flew from Seoul to Kuala Lumpur, and I was like, okay, now I'm really leaving Asia. This is weird. I'm going to another continent again, and I fell asleep. It wasn't a big deal. Um, Yesterday was kind of my going away party in Denver, and the reason I didn't have anything big is because I just didn't want to have anything big, and I didn't really fucking care. Um, I hung out with some friends. I went from one spot to the other spot to another spot to another spot. Saw Went to a few bars, saw a really great punk show, but the best part was just seeing some friends. And yeah, last night was kind of a story for the ages. It's sad I didn't get to see more friends, but also I didn't really plan anything, so who cares if they're, I hope everybody is all cool with me leaving and not saying anything. Um, how about you? What do you guys think of goodbyes? Best, worst goodbyes? What do you do for a goodbye party? Um, and if you know anything about Chicago, please tell me. And yeah, have a great day. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you're the best.